Recording in progress.
Mr. Hafiz Alangka to lead us in prayer.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وقال ربكم ادعوني أستجب لكم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين اللهم ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وقنا عذاب النار برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Shall we stand for the singing of the Pambansang Awit and then the Bangsamoro hymn after? Secretariat to call the roll for the members of the technical working group.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. To the honorable members of the technical working group, may I respectfully request to say present once your name is called. The chairman of the technical working group, Attorney Raisa Jajuri, present. The vice chairman of the technical working group, Engineer Baintan Ampatuan. To the members of the technical working group, MP Dr. Susana Anayating, MP Engineer Aida Silungan, and MP Romeo Sema. So out of 5 members, we have 4 present, 3 physically present, and 1 in the Zoom.
Okay, so there being a quorum, we can proceed. However, we'll have to take a 2-minute break to allow the secretariat to change your laptop. Okay, para po sa technical na mga inaayos. So let's take a break for 10 minutes before we proceed with the acknowledgement of resource persons as well as other members of the parliament who are present. Papalit naman. So let's take a break for 2 minutes.
Recording in progress.
Okay, we resume the meeting. And to the next item in our agenda for today, which is the acknowledgement of resource persons. Medyo nag-acknowledge na din po tayo kanina while we were checking the audio that we will for the record. your name and by acknowledging the presence of your organization and of course yourself. Joining us in Zoom are Attorney Alisabi M. Bitoconan, who is Chancellor of MSU IIT. From the Office of the Chancellor, Dr. Elmar Roa of MSU Awan, we have Professor Bashari Preciado. From the Office of the Chancellor, Magber Abdurrahman, we have of MSU Salud, Dr. Hamdan Bana. And then from the Office of the President of the University of Southern Mindanao, Dr. Francisco Gil Garcia, we have Dr. Joe Hamid Imran. So we have four academic institutions participating into this consultation. Maraming salamat for joining us, or PACOS. Mr. Alwasi Sambi Sipon, representing Mr. Alisari Blamarden, who is Executive Director of the United Youth for Peace and Development, Relief Assistance and Network Organization, or UNIPAD Ranao. We have Mr. Nasruddin Kusain, who is Executive Director of Adat Betad, and Mr. Aldin Aminullah, OIC Executive Director of Mataukasi Incorporated. And we have Ma'am Dedet Swasito and Ma'am Cecil from the Nagdilaab Foundation Incorporated in Zamboanga City. And from our development partners, we have Ma'am Hasna Abubakar Adam and Mr. Michael Argonza, UN World Food Program Cotabato Office. Mr. Winston Aylmer Camariñas, Program Manager of UNDP. Mr. Winston Aylmer Camariñas, Program Manager of Tribal, or the Ulama Group. We have Mr. Erle Saliling, who is representing the Arumanan Nemanovu of Cotabato Province. And from the private sector, we have Ms. Luchi Peña, who is Senior Director for Administration of Lamsan Incorporated. Meron pa po ba kaming hindi natawag who is here with us as resource person? If there is, if you're here and your name was not acknowledged, kindly unmute yourself, unmute and then introduce yourself. And your name was not acknowledged, kindly unmute yourself. Mukhang wala. Unmute and then let me acknowledge first the other members of the parliament who are here with us. Physically present is MP Jamel Macaraya. Thank you po for joining us. And on Zoom, we have MP Suwaid Oranon, MP Don Mustafa Loong, and Deputy Speaker Hatimil Hassan. Other MPs are also represented by their staff, including MP and Senior Minister Abdurrauf Makabuha, who is the main author of the bill, but he cannot join us because he has another meeting to attend. So before I give the floor to one of the main authors also, principal authors of the BTA Parliament bill that we are tackling at the moment, I would just like to give some background on the technical working group, which invited the resource persons. So una po, maraming salamat to our resource persons for joining us and for heeding our call to give your opinions, your comments on Parliament Bill number 53. The technical working group was created by the Committee on Rules, to which this bill was referred. sometime in August 2021. No? Thereafter, the Committee on Rules decided that to expedite the process, it would create a technical working group that would facilitate the public consultations. During the public consultations, we will not be giving our comments, our response to the comments of resource persons, but our mandate is to get all the information, all the opinions of those who will be joining us during the consultations, as well as those who will be submitting their position papers. We also put that in the Facebook page, no? Inviting individuals, organizations, institutions to submit their position papers in relation to Parliament Bill number 53. So for those who are attending and for those who may not be able to attend, they can still do that. So for those who are attending and for those who may not be able to attend, they can still you can do so up to March 21. So that would give us time in the technical working group and the secretariat to put together everything that has been submitted to us by way of position papers or by statements made during the public consultations. So after that po, we will submit a report which is basically the consolidation of all these submissions to the Committee on Rules, which has the mandate to deliberate on the bill and thereafter to submit its committee report for the plenary deliberations and amendments thereafter. So, nandun po tayo sa public consultation. Ulit, makikinig lang po kami sa inyong mga position. So, nandun po tayo sa public consultation. We acknowledge the arrival of one of the members, the last member of the technical working group, MP Romeo Sema. Good morning po. Salam. For those who are on Zoom, please make sure that your microphones are off when you are not acknowledged and you are not speaking para po mas mapakinggan po natin yung dapat na nagsasalita. Sige, thank you. So now I will call on MP Engineer Baintan Ampatuan, who is principal author of the bill, to make her opening remarks, and who is also vice chair of the technical working group.
Thank you. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. At the outset, allow me to extend my courtesies to our MP Senior Minister Abdul Rauf Makakua, who is the principal author of the Bill number 53, or the Bangsamoro Sustainable Development Act of 2020. To MP Attorney Raisa Jajuri, who is the chair of the Technical Working Group for the conduct of public consultations of Bill number 53, to the members of the Technical Working Group, MP Engineer Aida Silongan, MP Dr. Susana Anayatin, MP Romeo Sema, to the members of the Parliament who are in attendance today, MP Jamil Makaraya, who is physically present in the Executive Lounge, to our Deputy Speaker Hatimil Hassan, to MP Suaib Oranon, to our colleague from the Minority Bloc, MP Don Mustafa Loong, to our invited resource persons from the academe, non-government organizations, civil society organizations, development partners, tribal and ulama leaders, private sector, guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome to this public consultation. This virtual public consultation will be the first of the two major consultations that will be done for this Bill number 53 by the Technical Working Group of the Bangsamoro Transition Authority, Committee on Rules as part of the formal process for this legislative measure. This is apart from the previous consultations conducted by the proponent of the bill. There will be another consultation the whole day of March 21, 2022, as mentioned by the Chair, with the participation of national and regional agencies, local government units, and other stakeholders. Prior to this, the BTA Secretariat called for position papers for this BTA Bill number 53. We are here today to gather inputs, listen to public opinions, suggestions, and recommendations on how to further improve this Bill number 53. There will be no debate from among the members of the Parliament. We all know that sustainable development is a global concern. According to the Sustainable Development Commission of the United Kingdom, it is defined as development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of the future generations to meet their own needs. The 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, adopted by all United Nations member states in 2015, including the Philippines, provide a shared blueprint for peace and prosperity for people and the planet, now and in the future. According to the United Nations Department of Economics and Social Affairs, the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, or the SDGs, are an urgent call for action by all countries being developed or developing in a global partnership to end poverty by improving health and education, reducing inequality, and accelerating economic growth, while taking action on climate change and preserving our natural resources. It is also recognized that the attainment of these goals is not only in the accomplishment of one country, but one that impacts all countries around the world. It is worth noting that our 1987 Philippine Constitution states the following pertinent provision in its Declaration of Policies and Principles, and I quote, Article 2, Section 5 provides that the maintenance of peace and order, the protection of life, liberty, and property, and the promotion of general welfare are essential for the enjoyment by all the people of the blessings of democracy. Article 2, Section 9 provides that the state shall promote a just and dynamic social order that will ensure the prosperity and independence of the nation and free the people from poverty through policies that provide adequate social services, promote full employment, a rising standard of living, and an improved quality of life for all. And Article 2, Section 16 also provides that the state shall protect and advance the rights of the people to a balanced and a healthful ecology in accordance with the rhythm and harmony of nature, unquote. These provisions guide us in the goal of the country towards development. These are also the reasons why the Philippine government and the United Nations are staunch partners for achieving national development goals and the 2030 Agenda, including the 17 SDGs. We also have the Partnership Framework for Sustainable Development, which supports the national long-term vision and integrated into our Philippine Development Plan priorities with the 2030 Agenda lens, which are divided into three main pillars: people, prosperity and planet, and peace. More importantly, it is our mandate under Republic Act number 11054, or the Bangsamoro Organic Law, to steer our region to sustainable development. Under its Article 6, Section 8, the creation of Bangsamoro Sustainable Development Board is provided. Such board aims to ensure the integration and harmonization of economic, social, and environmental considerations as vital dimensions of sustainable development policy and practice in the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region. Thus, Thus, we should make sustainable development as one of our primary priorities. We have to adjust and be progressive, and in the words of no less than our Constitution, just and dynamic with the laws and our legislative measures, with our industries and services, and our acts, so that while our country, and specifically while our beloved region develops, we do not compromise the future of those who will descend us. Thus, we earnestly seek the support of everyone in this public consultation for the improvement and eventual passage of this bill. As the famous saying goes, the best way to predict future is to create it. Thank you very much, and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh.
Thank you, MP Ampatuan, for the opening remarks. We will be asking the majority floor leader to come to also give a message to us, to the TWG and the resource persons. But at the moment, we will proceed with the next item in the agenda, which is the presentation on the salient features of the BTA Bill number 32. 32? Mali, no? 53. From the Office of the Senior Minister and MP Abdurrauf Makakua, we have Ms. Najma Makapundag Panolong, who is Political Affairs Officer 6 of the Office of MP Makakua. She is on Zoom, and we will ask her now to make the presentation on the salient features. But we understand that all the resource persons were given soft copies, no, of the bill itself. And so we hope your comments are based on the language of Bill number 53, which was submitted to you or given to you. So, but for now, can we ask Ms. Najma to start her presentation?
Thank you, Ma'am. Naririnig po ako?
Yes. Yes, go ahead, Ms. Najma. Will you be sharing your screen or nasaan ba ang presentation?
Madam Chair. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My courtesy to the chairperson of this technical working group, Honorable MP Attorney Raisa Jajuri, the Honorable MPs who composed this technical working group, and to MP Engineer Intan Ampatuan, principal co-author of this bill. Ma'am, thank you for pushing this. Thank you for pushing the passage of this bill. To the other members of the Parliament who are joining us via Zoom, and those who are present in the venue executive lounge, to all our resource persons from different sectors, non-government organizations, civil society organizations, as well as from the academe. I saw here Attorney Alizidni Ditokalan, sir. In behalf of MP Abdurrauf A. Makakua, yours truly is grateful to present to you the proposed Bill number 53, otherwise known as an Act creating the Bangsamoro Sustainable Development Board, its framework defining its powers and functions, providing funds therefore and for other purposes. So, to start with, the salient features of the bill. Let me begin with the legal basis or legal background in proposing this bill. In RA 11054, an intergovernmental mechanism was created between the national government agencies and the Bangsamoro government to coordinate and resolve issues on intergovernmental relations through regular consultation and continuing negotiation in a non-adversarial manner. This is referred to as the Intergovernmental Relations Body. There were 7 IGRB, including the Council of Leaders, and among these is the Bangsamoro Sustainable Development 2. The enumerated IGR bodies, only the Bangsamoro Sustainable Development Board requires that the Parliament shall create the same through legislative measure. Hence, this proposed bill was passed to the plenary. To be specific with the article provision is Section 8, Article 6 of RA 11054, which provides that the Parliament shall create a Bangsamoro Sustainable Development Board composed of representatives from the national government and the Bangsamoro government. The BSDB shall ensure the integration and harmonization of economic, social, and environmental considerations as vital dimensions of sustainable development, policy, and practice in the Bangsamoro region. In paragraph 2 of the same section and article, it substantially provides that the funding support for the operation of the office or the board shall be included in the annual budget or appropriations of the Bangsamoro government, and also certain percentage of the revenues to be collected from the exploration, development, and utilization of any natural resources within the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region. Such percentage must likewise be provided in a law to be passed by the Parliament, perhaps in the Bangsamoro Revenue Code or in this particular proposed bill. The law likewise mandated the Bangsamoro government to adopt or develop a comprehensive framework for sustainable development. This is expressly stated in Section 3, Article 13 of RA 11054. This comprehensive framework to be developed will guide the Bangsamoro government in adopting program and policy mechanisms that focus on the environment dimensions of social and economic interventions. Among the declared policies as enumerated in the proposed bill is to carefully plan the ecological balance and the natural resources for its use and future generations, to protect and improve the quality of life of its inhabitants. Because no less than the 1987 Philippine Constitution provides the protection and advancement of the right of every Filipino citizen to a balanced and healthful ecology in accord with the rhythm and harmony of nature, taking also into consideration the principle or doctrine of intergenerational responsibility. The vital role of youth and women in national and regional development is likewise recognized in the proposed bill, as well as the recognition of the rights of the indigenous peoples as far as their territories are concerned. The provision on the power, authority, and right of the Bangsamoro government the power, authority, and right to explore, develop, and utilize natural resources. Natural resources include surface and subsurface rights, inland waters, coastal waters, renewable and non-renewable resources, as well as the power to declare which areas within the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region that should be declared as protected areas. The main priority of this legal basis for in passing this proposed bill is the maintenance of ecological balance and biodiversity. This includes protection, conservation, rehabilitation, and development of forests, coastal, and marine resources. Okay, so the proposed structure of the Bangsamoro Sustainable Development Board in the proposed bill, it will be chaired by the Ministry of Environment, Natural Resources, and Energy with the following members: Executive Secretary or its equivalent position, now the Senior Minister, Minister of Agriculture, Fisheries, and Agrarian Reform, Minister of MILG, Minister of MOST, Minister of MPIT, Minister of MIPA, heads of Bangsamoro Youth Commission, Bangsamoro Women Commission, and the Director General of the Bangsamoro Planning and Development Authority, and likewise, as expressly stated in the provision of the law, representatives from the national government to be nominated by them. The powers and functions of the board are to develop a comprehensive framework for sustainable development as discussed earlier, which shall guide the government, the Bangsamoro government, in adopting program and policy mechanisms that will focus on the environment dimensions of social and economic interventions, to provide measures for environmental justice and governance, as well as for the reduction of the vulnerability of women and marginalized groups to climate change and variability, to monitor and review the implementation of the policies, plans, and programs to be adopted, to conduct consultation and investigation to prevent irregularities which may arise in the implementation of the policies, plans, and programs, such as, but not limited to, conservation, preservation, rehabilitation, exploration, development, and utilization of the natural resources. Power or the creation of this board in the Bangsamoro government will serve as the counterpart of our commitment to also to support the sustainable development goals, to promote the effective use of economic resources and endeavor to attain economic development that facilitates growth and full employment, livelihood, human development, and social development, to call upon any representative from the national government agencies operating within the jurisdiction of the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region or any representative of the local government units or the private sector for such opinions or advice on relevant issues and concerns affecting sustainable development policies, programs, and projects. This power is in line with the very nature of Bangsamoro Sustainable Development Board as one of the IGRB. And lastly, to perform such other functions as may be provided or as may be directed by the competent authority. To effectively and efficiently carry or perform its duties and responsibilities, the Bangsamoro Sustainable Development Board will be assisted by technical support staff to do the technical matters or concerns. These TSS or technical support staff will be under the Ministry of Environment, Natural Resources, and Energy. So that's it for the salient features of the proposed Bill number 53, otherwise known as an Act creating the Bangsamoro Sustainable Development Board, its framework, defining its powers and functions, providing funds therefore and for other purposes. In behalf of MP Abdul Rauf A. Makakua, the Senior Minister of BAR, would like to extend its gratitude for having this opportunity. We would like also to say thank you to Honorable MP Engineer Bay Intan Ampatuan, the principal co-author of this bill, who really make the push to the passage of this bill to the Bangsamoro Parliament. Thank you so much. With that, again, thank you very much for joining us and thank you for this opportunity.
Okay, salamat, Ms. Najma. We note that there were in the presentation included some of the, I think, proposed enhancements, no? But we will stick to what is filed as Parliament Bill number 53. But if there are proposals to enhance the bill as filed, this can be presented to the Committee on Rules when it deliberates. And also, of course, the plenary is always a venue for those proposed amendments. No, so we for those for the resource persons, ang basis po natin for the discussion would be Parliament Bill number 53 as filed and as submitted to you. As I think this was sent to you, no, by the Secretariat together with the invitation. So can we now proceed to hearing our resource persons? We can start with can we start with those who may be having problems with internet connection, so that if the connection is good at the moment, makuha na po natin yung sa kanila. And then we move to other resource persons. So I note that tawi-tawi, we have a resource person from tawi-tawi, Ms. Arlene Napoles Sevilla. May we call on her first and check if the internet connection is good enough for us to hear her, what she has to say, her comments on Parliament Bill number 53. Ms. Sevilla from Tawi-Tawi Alliance of Civil Society Organizations. Go ahead, ma'am.
Assalamualaikum. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. A pleasant morning to all of honorable personalities for this consultation on Bill 53. We were discussing and talking about the inclusivity principle of cited by the bill, which is all about creating the Bangsamoro Sustainable Development Board, defining its powers and functions, and providing funds therefore and for other purposes. All throughout the bill, there was no mention of civil society organizations' participation, and how can we ensure that there will be inclusivity for women, to protect women, to ensure that women and girls, women and children, women and youth would be protected and the rights advanced to a balanced and healthful ecology, so that the next successor generations, the apo ng Bangsamoro, Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao, will be protected when the people themselves or the community residents themselves don't have a representative to the board. Moreover, in order to promote the effective use of economic resources and endeavor to attain economic development and social justice, this has to be taken from the experiences from the ground, and without CSO representatives coming from the 5 provinces of the Bangsamoro region, then there will be a missing link for the members of the board in order to ensure that their situations, their rights and their aspirations will be addressed. There were lots of discussions conducted last Tuesday before I left Bungaw, and we will be submitting our position paper to the Honorable Consultation Committee of Bill 53. For now, that I submit to the consultation body.
Okay, thank you, Ma'am Arlene. Noted po. We will be waiting for the written submission, but we take note of your preliminary comments to the bill, particularly on the matter of CSO participation. Salamat po. Can I also now call on Ma'am Jubaira Said from Basilan, because internet connection there is also not as strong as in other areas. Ma'am Jubaira, who is chairperson of the Basilan Women Initiatives Foundation Incorporated. You have the floor po. Diyan pa siya. In the meantime, we acknowledge the physical presence of some other members of the Parliament, MP Ali Salik and MP Musa Jamla. And online, walang dagdag. Sige, anyway, Ma'am Jubaira, Naririnig niyo po ba kami? Anong pangalan niyo dyan?
Hello, ma'am.
Mukhang lalaki. Yes, sir. From the Basilan Women Initiative Foundation.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am Jubaira's side, ma'am, is not around, so I will be presenting.
Sige po. What is your name, sir? So that we can put it on record.
By the way, ma'am, ako nga po pala si Jomar Garcia Ron, the planning officer of Bangsamoro Initiative Foundation. So,
Sige.
I will be
Sir,
calling this word and she got back from
Sir, hindi masyado maganda po ang audio. Una, paki-type niyo po sa chat box later yung full name ninyo. And then, makakatulong sir kung medyo tahimik yung background kasi napipick up po ng microphone nyo yung background noise at hindi po namin masyado marinig yung sinasabi ninyo.
Hello, ma'am. Hello.
Yes po. Go ahead, sir. Kung pwedeng mapatahimik po yung background, yung mga taong nagsasalita. Po, sige po, try niyo pong magsalita, sir. In time, we acknowledge MP Tarcito UAK, who is also on Zoom. And of course, our majority floor leader, MP Lanang Adi Jr. Yes. Pero, so, we will call you later, yung representative po ni Ma'am Jubaira. Sir, kung pwedeng lumipat po kayo sa isang mas tahimik na lugar, kasi yung ingay po sa background nyo ang mas naririnig namin kaysa po yung boses ninyo. So, we'll get back to you po. And at this point, can we now call on... Medyo, mag-message mo siya? Pwede ka na ngayon? Okay ka na? Sige, so at this point, we will call MP and Majority Floor Leader Lanang Adi Jr. to address us, to give a message before we proceed to the other resource persons.
Yes, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. My courtesy to the this technical working group chaired by MP Attorney Raisa Jajuri and those MPs who are physically and as well as virtually present for today's public consultations. This public consultation is in relation with the BTA Bill number 53, or the creation of Bangsamoro Sustainable Development Board. This is one of the very important body which must be created and passed by the Parliament. This is provided in the Bangsamoro Organic Law, Public Act number 11054. This is part of the intergovernmental relations mechanisms as provided in Article 6, Section 8 of the Bangsamoro Organic Law. I attended several meetings of the intergovernmental relations mechanism of the national government and the Bangsamoro government, or the Bangsamoro Transition Authority. And this body, this board, was frequently asked by no less than Secretary Dominguez. And he urged the Bangsamoro Parliament to pass bill creating the Bangsamoro Sustainable Development Board. And this is the reason why we have these public consultations. This is an urgent bill as far as the national government as well as the Bangsamoro government is concerned. So I'm calling my fellow MPs to act and immediately approve this bill before this regular session ends. So that will be all. Thank you very much.
Sige po, kung kakayanin, Majority Floor Leader. So, on that note, we will proceed so that we can accommodate all those we have invited and give them the chance to present their comments. I will now call on Sulu participants because Sulu is also does not have the strong internet connection. But at this point, we acknowledge the presence of MP Rasul Ismail on Zoom. So can we now call Dr. Hanbal Bara, who is representing Professor Nagder Abdurrahman, the Chancellor of MSU Sulu. Dr. Bara? Is he online? Tingnan niyo. Kung wala pa siya, wala pa po si Dr. Bara. Can we now call on Mr. Aldin Aminullah, who is OIC Executive Director of Mataukasi? Mr. Aminullah Aldin? Wala din. Si Dr. Bara na wala. Ay, okay. So, lipat na tayo sa ibang probinsya muna. Sige, Lanao also. Okay. Can we now call on the Chancellor of MSU IIT? And congratulations, sir, for your recent appointment. Attorney Alizedni Ditokalan. Sir.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to all the honorable members of the Parliament present today, especially the authors, the principal author of this very important piece of legislation. I just would like to begin by congratulating the government of the day for coming up with this very important piece of legislation. Allow me also to pitch the program of MSU IIT that might have relevance to this undertaking. We are currently revising our program, which is unique in MSU, our Masters in Sustainable Development Studies and our PhD in Sustainable Development Studies. And what we are now crafting, we hope to pass it in the coming days, is the professional track for MA in Sustainable Development Studies, and one that is for Doctor in Sustainable Development Studies, which I think that BARM and MSU IIT can have a collaboration. On that note, I would like to give my comments. We hope to submit a written position paper with respect to this BTA Parliament Bill number 53. First and foremost, I would like to call the attention of the Honorable, the August body on the very essence of the Bangsamoro Sustainable Development Board. If we look into its framework and the rationale of this board is actually to integrate and harmonize economic and socio-cultural, political and environmental considerations as vital dimensions of sustainable development policy. and practice in the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region. In other words, the board that is supposed to be crafted a regulatory body. To my understanding, if we read the mandate of the board as written in the law, as written in the Organic Act, is actually just to integrate and harmonize the government, national government policies and that of the Bangsamoro government policy. Nothing more, nothing less. That is the only mandate of this Bangsamoro Sustainable Development Board. Why? The whole aspect of Sustainable Development Board is embedded in all ministry. It is supposed to be part in our policy making, in our day-to-day regulatory functions of all ministry. It should not be bifurcated, that you will have another board that will look into this. The functions of the board is basically to just look into the national mandate, in the directions of the national government with respect to sustainable development goals, and that of the Bangsamoro government with respect to sustainable development goal. So it's just to harmonize that, looking into the context of the Bangsamoro community. With that, I would believe that there's a need to look into the functions and powers of the board with respect to whether we are not actually going beyond the mandate that the board ought to achieve. And I would like to highlight that probably that might guide us in this respect. Lawmakers have always grappled with the questions of whether to formulate general laws or broad principles to allow implementers to exercise ex post discretion or craft specific laws with precise distinctions, leaving little room for ex post clarifications. This same predicament is presented in approaching BTA BP number 53, because to my mind, this should be approached from the lens of a specific law, not a general law. I know that there will be a lot of speakers that will be presenting, or resource person that will be joining in the conversation. So I would like to move on with some of the things that I find interesting that might that the Parliament might consider, or the technical working group might consider. One is on Section 6. As we wanted to really develop a coordinating body, we might consider of transforming Section 5 into a coordinating secretariat office with two divisions. You have the regulatory affairs and the policy affairs. Now, why do we need this? So that in the regulatory affairs, this coordinating secretariat office will look into the regulatory frameworks of the national government. What are those policies? What are those regulatory laws that are implementing sustainable development goals? So if this will be the cluster that will consolidate and look into whether there will be a tension between the national government framework and that of the regional government framework. The other one, which I think is more important, is the policy and governance affairs, where this will look into the policy aspect and how governmental functions interacts with sustainable development goals vis-a-vis vis-a-vis the powers of the national government and that of the Bangsamoro government. I would like also to highlight some specific considerations that the technical working group might consider on Section 5, with respect to the power of the board to develop a comprehensive framework for sustainable development. One has to do with sustainable food productions systems, and the other one is adequate and equitable sanitations and hygiene for all and open defecations, paying special attention to the needs of women and girls and those in vulnerable situations, especially in water bodies, which I know that this is a major concern in the region. Improve water quality by reducing pollution, eliminating damping, and minimizing release of hazardous chemicals and materials, and substantially increasing recycling and safe reuse. Although I know that this particular concern can in fact be covered by, for example, by the Ministry of Environment, Natural Resources and Energy. I am highlighting this because if we will look into the functions, it would seem to appear that some of like the investigative functions of the board that we wanted to envision can actually be covered by the Ministry of Environment and Natural Resources, Ministry of Environment, Natural Resources and Energy. Another point of consideration that I would like to point out is also the compositions of the board. Perhaps you might consider that instead of really making the minister as the ex-official member of this board, you might consider of just having a representative from this specific office and add probably one from the private sector and also one from the academia. Having said that, Madam Chair, those are the points that I would like to highlight. Nonetheless, the policy and governance cluster of my office will be submitting a detailed position paper with the hope of improving this current proposed legislations. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you and for this opportunity to join you today.
Thank you, Chancellor Ditukalan, and we look forward to your written submission, although we take note the points that you raised regarding the functions, the secretariat instead of technical support system, technical support staff, and detailing the functions of the coordinating secretariat, and on the composition of the board for inclusion of some other sectors like the academe and the private sector, and regarding specific functions of the board. But of course, we will want to see the written submissions also so that it becomes the points raised will be clearer. So maraming salamat po, Chancellor, for joining us. Hindi pala namin nasabi, I think MP Makakuwa conducted several consultations already, and some of you may have already joined those consultations. Pero in-invite pa rin po namin kayo because yung consultations ni MP Makakuwa are legitimate and part of the enhancement initiative of the good MP, of the senior minister in treating this bill as his initiative. Pero po, officially, we need to get your positions by way of this consultation so that what you say will be part of the official records po of the Parliament in considering the enactment of a bill creating the Bangsamoro Sustainable Development Board. So, pasensya po kung nauulit yung aming mga tanong or yung inyong pagsasabi ng inyong mga komento at opinion para lang po maging official ang inyong submissions. Thank you. And we'd like to say to those who have already given their comments, who have been called already, you are excused po if you need to go. We know we are busy persons, but you are welcome to stay, no, and listen to the other resource persons. We also recognize the presence of MPs Eddie Ali and Haron Abbas, who are joining us via Zoom as well. So can we now go to can I go back to Dr. Han Balbara, representative of the Chancellor of MSU Sulu? Nandyan pa ba? Wala pa rin. So nawala. Sa yung representative na po ni Chancellor Elnor Roa from MSU Naawan, Professor Desiree Preciado. Are you? Yeah. Go ahead, ma'am.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. So I have to turn on my cam. I thank you. My appreciation to the Honorable Board for inviting MSU Naawan to be one of the resource persons. Reading upon the contents of the Bill number 53, specifically in Part 2, Declaration of Policies in items A, B, and C, we see to it that MSU Naawan, we commit to establish MOAs with the Bangsamoro government to deepen a relationship with the Bangsamoro government. Second, we intend to partner with Bangsamoro in terms of developing its fishery industry and environmental efforts. And lastly, at MSU Naawan, we can offer services in training and capacity building in fishery and environment. Considering that we have this in our curriculum, we have already this Doctor of Sustainable Development, which the track is in environmental studies. Hence, that is our commitment for a support in this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. We thank you for offering the partnership with MSU Naawan, particularly in fisheries and environment.
Yes.
And we look forward to that. But for the BTA Bill number 53, would you have specific concerns or proposals po?
I think it's all right for us. Okay, I just only listened to what others would come, but as of the moment, I feel that I give now the floor for those who are really eloquent on laws to discuss on that matter.
Again, thank you, ma'am. But you still have time. You may want to submit a written
Yes, ma'am.
written comments po, no? Written position paper regarding the bill. You have until March 21, ma'am po, no? So
Thank you.
reply na lang siguro dun sa email that was sent out inviting you to this meeting. Thank you, ma'am, Professor Preciado. Sige po. Can we now go to the Dr. Jurhamid Imlan, who is representing the president of the University of Southern Mindanao. Dr. Imlan. Ayun. Dr. Imlan, are you there? You have the floor po.
Good morning, ma'am. Assalamualaikum. In behalf of the University of Southern Mindanao, headed by Dr. Francisco Hill and Garcia, the university is committed to do the memorandum of understanding with the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region, considering that USM is strategically situated at Kabakan, where the barangays are some barangays are under Bangsamoro Autonomous Region. Now, with regards to the Bill 53, I wonder just a a comment on the structure, the board structure of the Bangsamoro Sustainable Development Board. It seems that the Ministry of Higher Education, Ministry of Basic and Higher MBHTE is not included in the structure. So as a cooperating university, higher education in Southern Philippines, we all know that the higher education now is focused on the problems and sustainable solutions. If we view this as an interdisciplinary and a holistic approach. So with this paradigm shift, our focus is on the knowledge to solve some problems that are relevant with regards.
Yun.
Yes,
So,
ma'am. We will submit, ma'am.
Okay.
Inshallah. Shukran, Jasim.
Okay, thank you, sir. We also take note of your, I think that's a recommendation, no, to include a representative from the MBHTE to be part of the board. Salamat, sir. Okay, so can we now give the floor to Dr. Bai Hajira Nefertiti Makalondong Limbona, who is Chancellor of the MSU Maguindanao. Dr. Limbona. Chancellor Limbona, you have the floor po. Okay, baka she's away. So we'll call her again, but we move to Professor Noni Lau, who is Chair of the Lanao del Sur People's Council. Go ahead po. Go ahead, ma'am, but you are on mute. Paki-unmute po muna.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead po.
Okay. So, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning. With courtesy to all the MPs present to this very important consultation on sustainable development board or the creation of this board, especially to the presiding officer who is a friend, Ma'am Jajuri, and also to Ma'am MP Baintan. I'm really honored and privileged to be a part of this consultation and be given a voice, no, from this age on this to be heard on this consultation about sustainable development. Now, my concern po dito is first is that Sustainable Development Board, tama po si Chancellor Sidney doon sa pagsabi niya ng function of the board. And that is transforming all the efforts of the government by ensuring sustainable development and leaving no one left behind. So alam po natin ang 17 goals of sustainable development, di po ba? Isa dito yung to end poverty in all forms, to end hunger, no poverty talaga, and then we should have a good health, quality education, gender equality, nakita ko po doon sa proposal, good, clean water and sanitation, that is part of the environment, affordable and clear energy, decent work and economic growth of the people, industry and innovation and infrastructures, reduce inequalities, sustainable cities and communities, responsible consumption and production, climate action, life on the on and strong institution, and the last one would be the partnerships for the goals of our that is between the government and that of the people. So I understand that sustainable development should be focused on the peace and prosperity for people, and of course the environment or its environment now and into the future. So our concern is not only for now, the composition maging head ng ating board because they are the one who are consolidating all plans of our region. So sila po yung nakakaalam lahat ng plano na to, and the work of the board is to manage and to look into the harmonization of our plan, of our projects for the implementation covering the 17 goals on sustainable development. So yun lang pong isa. So pangalawa is that on the composition, not only the MBHTE ang pwede natin idagdag para ma-cover natin yung sinasabi ko na 17 goals ng sustainable development, we should have to include the Ministry of Human Rights Commission as well as the Ministry of Health. And for the government institution, I think we should have to include NIDA or the DBM as well. So, yun po ang aking reaction doon sa ating dito po sa ating BTA Bill number 53. Thank you po. So maybe I could add more on the written comments and recommendations regarding the Sustainable Development Board.
Okay, thank you, Professor Lau. We take note of the initial comments, particularly on the framework, which you seem to propose to expand, no? As well as the composition, citing specific ministries or agencies of the BARM. For the national agencies po, we the Bangsamoro Organic Law provides that there should be an equivalent or the ministry, departments or agencies who should also join, no, in the board. Sige, and then yung sa functions as well. But we will also ask you to we will follow up your written position paper po, which you said you will be submitting. Thank you, ma'am. So can we now go to, can I go back to Dr. Limbona, Chancellor of MSU Maguindanao? Nandyan na po ba kayo? Kung wala, balikan ko po yung mga taga-Sulu, Dr. Bara and Mr. Aminula. Sige, kung wala pa din, we will now go to development partners from the World Food Program, Sir Mike and Ma'am Hasna. You may now you have the floor po. Yan po. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Minister Jajuri. Good morning and assalamualaikum to everyone. In behalf of WFP, we would like to thank for the opportunity of having invited here in the public consultation on the Parliament Bill number 53, who is really working on how to contribute to the sustain. As our, however, we would like to on the structure of the, sorry, yeah, okay, on the structure of the Sustainable Development Board, we would like to see that MSSD will be part of the Ministry for Natural Environment. And also, we would like also to see on the powers and function to maybe develop a collaboration framework where the among or the ministries or among ministries could really contribute on attaining the sustainable development goals. So yeah, and lastly, on the regulatory functions, we would like to also to recommend or see on what would be the regulatory functions of the board in terms of exploitation, exploration, and protection and conservation of our natural resources. For example, our the Liguas and Mars, where majority of our constituents in the Bangsamoro are living within that community. So maybe we will. That's one of the things that we can look into, how these sustainable development goals could really look into that regulatory frameworks or functions. So that would we would also look into submitting a position paper to for this bill. So that's for WFP. Thank you very much po and Assalamualaikum.
Thank you. Waalaikumsalam. So sa composition po, the inclusion of MSSD, and then in the powers and functions, yung collaboration framework, and yung regulatory function as well, specifically on how to balance yung development that we want to introduce in certain areas, but where people, communities also live in.
Yes.
And you will be submitting a written paper, no? Thank you po.
Yes, thank you.
We'll wait for your submission. And thank you to WFP for joining us today. So, punta po tayo kay, andyan na po ba si Sir Ansali? Ay, Aldasi? Salisipan? Sir Aldasi, can you unmute yourself and present your comments? Salisipan from Unipad Ranao.
Assalamualaikum and good morning again. I think I have a
Hindi namin, sir, kayo masyado marinig. Can you try again? Hindi kaya. Balikan namin kayo, sir. Si Ma'am Jubay, yung si representative ni Ma'am Jubaira from Basilan. Si Mr. Nakuha ba natin ang name? Chinat na. Ang name na. Nawala na siya. Okay. Yung mga sulong. Sina Aminula, wala pa rin. Sige, puntahan na po natin ang Sambuanga, si Ma'am Dedet Swasito from Nagdilaab Foundation. Ma'am Dedet or Ma'am Cecil. Ma'am Cecil Sekio from Nagdilaab Foundation. Ma'am Cecil. Pero andyan pa siya.
Yes.
Online siya. Nagdilaab Foundation. Sige, baka wala. Can we now go to the tribal leaders from the Timuay Justice and Governance? Ang acting Timuay Labi, hindi ko na makaya. Si Sir Leticio Datuata.
Yes, ma'am. Good morning and good morning to all and everyone. Yes, ang tingin ko maganda naman yung pagkalatag ng batas. Yun nga lang, gusto lang namin kung in terms of in terms of development doon sa komunidad ng mga katutubo ay just to enforce the implementation of free of informed consent na nakasaad sa IPRA doon sa mga karapatan ng katutubo. At isa na rin sana kung mamarapatin doon sa pagpapili ng mga board ay may representative yung mga katutubo mula sa IPS, for example, the Timuay Justice and Governance as the indigenous people structure of the non-Moro IP within the BARM. Baka kahit hindi regular, no, yung pinaka-minimum, hindi siya regular member, at least alternate doon sa board of directors. Kasi nandyan naman yung MIPA, kaya nga lang, hindi naman sa gusto rin namin na mula kahit siya ay isang ahensya ng gobyerno o dito sa BARM, focus on the protection and well-being of the non-Moro indigenous people within the BARM. Mas better siguro kung mula sa dito sa usapin ng public forum on the BARM sustainable agenda. Maraming salamat.
Okay, maraming salamat din po, Acting Timuay Labi Leticio Datuata from Timuay Justice and Governance. Hindi na kayo, sir, magsasubmit ng nakasulat na position paper. Ang concerns po ninyo ay yung frame mismo, no? To include FPIC as a principal, and then representation in the board of yung BDSB. Tama po ba? Yan po, sir, ang buod ng inyong sinabi.
Ihahabol ko na lang, i-email ko na lang yung position paper namin.
Sige po, kung gusto niyo po, no? Apa. Sige, maraming salamat, Timuay. Indiretso na natin sa isa pang IP leader, si Sir Erley Saliling, galing naman po sa Arumanan, Nemanovo of Cotabato Province. Sir?
Yes, thank you very much.
Ay, sir, baka naka-mute kayo? Pwedeng i-unmute po.
Okay.
Yan.
Okay na po.
Okay na po, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much. First of all, thank you very much, member ng committee, sa co-authors ng bill na ito, Bill 53. Highlighted sa thanks namin na Arumana na Manovo is yung inclusion ng MIPA as member of the board. However, we are adopting the communities, the Arumana na Manovo communities adopts the recent concern and comment of Timoy Litisyo relative to FPIC and membership to the board, separate from MIPA. Ang MIPA will, by its mandate, would surely protect and promote the rights as well as the well-being of the NMIPs within the 63 barangays of North Cotabato. However, nagpupush po kami na separate ang membership, be it ex officio, para direkta po makakarating ang issues and concerns namin relative to environment and development. Recently, we have adopted an ADS-DPP which was approved by the National Commission on Indigenous People. Therefore, hindi nagaanong mabigat relative sa Arumana na Manovo and the board kasi nagawa na po yung ADS-DPP and in fact, it was approved. Dito sa marami ng suggestions and comments which again, my high regard to them. Ang i-inject lang po dito sa bill is short of sunset clause. Ma-address po yung loophole na yon. With that po, again, those are my comments. Kung mamarapatin po ninyo, pwede po akong gagawa ng position paper for such sunset clause. That's all po. Thank you very much.
Okay, Sir Erley. Let me just clarify. When you say sunset clause, mas ang meaning nyo ay yung i-review, no? Every certain period of time.
Number of years. Yes.
Apo. Okay, sige po. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Thanks too.
Salamat po. Sige, so punta po tayo kay... Balik-balikan ko na. Sige, si Sir Unipa. Of MSC Maguindanao. Ma'am, nandyan po ba kayo? Do you hear us? Kung wala, we'll get back to her and call on the president of the Cotabato State University, Dr. Sema Dilna. Sir?
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair, Honorable MP Attorney Raisa Jajuri, and the rest of the BTA parliaments who are present physically over there, and our colleagues from different sectors. Good morning and Assalamualaikum. Thank you for inviting us as one of the resource persons to comment and to give comments, suggestions, as well as observations on the BTA Parliament Bill number 53, otherwise known as the Bangsamoro Sustainable Development Board. We know for a fact that this BSDB, or the Bangsamoro Sustainable Development Board, is a holistic and must be comprehensive. And this is also in consonance with the future thinking of the national government led by Senator Pia Cayetano as a sustainable plan for the Philippines, and in the BARM, the BSDB will serve as the future thinking of the region. Based on the bill, first, same with our colleagues on the structure and of course with the composition, we see to it that there must be a proper and appropriate representation of the different sectors as well as line agencies, for instance, the academe, or it must be under the MBHTE, and there must be a proper sanctions of those who will not do their duties and functions when this will comment on its proper sanctions of those agencies, members of the board who will not cooperatively participate their duties and responsibilities. And we have also to attune our sustainable goals with the National Economic Development Authority. And we have also to see to it that the three resources must be there, no? Our human resources, our facility resources, and of course financial resources of this board must be sustained and must be included in the bill for its sustainability. And of course, our institution is very supportive with this, especially on researches, education, extension activities, and we have to include in our goals so that it must be holistic and comprehensive, the different aspects of Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao sustainable development, especially on social welfare, ethics and moral governance, and of course, peace and development. And that is what I see na it will really contribute and sustain the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao, where peace and development as well as moral governance are not in the board of the National Economic Development Authority. They only concentrate on economics, infra, etc., but without inclusion of peace and development as well as moral governance. That's all, Madam Chair, and thank you.
Salamat, Dr. Dilna, and thank you for being with us today. If you so wish, you can send your written position paper to include what you just said and maybe other things that you may find in the bill, no, to be commented on. But we take note of your comments regarding the structure and composition, specifically the question of representation of the academe as one of the sectors, MBHTE, You also mentioned that there should be sanctions for those who are not able to implement or comply with the tasks and responsibilities placed upon them. And that the concept should, the other one pala is the inclusion, ensuring that there is enough resources, particularly human, financial, and facilities, resources. And that the frame should also include social welfare, ethics and governance, as well as security, peace and security. Thank you po, sir. Is here to give their position paper, to give their comments. Can we now call her, Miss Kamid, Hana Kamid?
Hello, good morning, and assalamualaikum. So we would like to reiterate the letter of our country director that we will send our inputs or we will give our comments during the proposed technical briefing. Thank you.
Sige po. And we will discuss that, among the members of the TWG, the offer of the World Bank to have a briefing with us. And we'll get back to you. Thank you, Ms. Kamid. So can we go to UNDP? Sir Butch?
Yes, magandang umaga po. My courtesies to the MPs who are present. I guess we don't have that much contribution, but maybe on the issue of inclusion, if we can expand the membership of the board to include, of course, the civil society organizations now. And I don't know, on the issue of the indigenous peoples, which will be affected, maybe we can have some representation from the ranks of the civil society organizations representing the IPs. I guess that's all, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Okay, salamat, Sir Butch. Short and sweet. So representation in the board to include the IPs and CSOs. Tama po ba, Sir Butch?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And we acknowledge the presence of two deputy speakers, one on Zoom, Deputy Speaker Nabil Tan. And here in the Executive Lounge, we have Deputy Speaker Zia Alonto Adjong. On Zoom, we also have MP Attorney Maysara Latif. Sige, we will proceed now to, sino pa? Si Ma'am Dedet, wala pa, ay si Ma'am Cecilia Sequio of Nagdilaab. I hope you can hear us. Diyan pa siya. Nagdilaab, wala.
Of the BTA for inviting the League of Bangsamoro organizations. It's a conglomeration of more than 500 civil society organizations across BARM, and then as far as Metro Manila. Madam Chairman, direct to the point, as I see the proposed bill number 53 on the creations of the Bangsamoro Sustainable Development Board. It is a very one of the very good development in as far as the progress of BARM is concerned, and we are hoping. I am supporting the call of the majority floor leader to fast track the passage of this bill so that it can serve the purpose for the sustainable development in the Bangsamoro. The way I see the bill, first and foremost, is that on the part of comments, I see that the bill is focusing only on the development of environmental aspect, wherein on the bill, I mean the 11054, is stated that this board shall ensure the integration and harmonization of economic, social, and environmental consideration as a vital dimensions of sustainable development policy and practice in the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao. So that's my first comment. The said bill is only focused on the environmental aspect, whereas in the 11054, it includes economic and social aspects. So I suggest that these two factors or dimensions can also be reconsidered in this bill, the economic and the social. In fact, in the compositions of the board, you can see the inclusion of the NSSD, which is one of the vital ministries in the BARM, that has something to do with this the development goals in the BARM. Even in the sa sustainable development goals, there are 17, and most of these 17 sustainable development and economic dimensions. So that's one, Mr. Chair, and then therefore I am suggesting that the MSSD shall also include as form part of the member on the compositions of the board. Another thing that I observe is that in the number 16 development goals included there all about peace, justice, and including strong institutions in the number 16 development goals, where in fact the as form part of this comprehensive development development goals in the Bangsamoro, the inclusions of the Development Academy of the Bangsamoro, because we in the CSO, we believe that the development in as far as the context of the Bangsamoro is concerned, development shall emanate first on the spiritual and that of the moral development. So this is all what we need, and then precede the material development. Therefore, the Development Academy of the Bangsamoro, being as the human resource development body of the regional government, shall be included in the compositions of the Bangsamoro Development Board. Another thing which I also suggest is the inclusions of the concept of the Khalifa, meaning the stewardship. This is a very important concept, especially in the context of the BARM, given to the fact that the majority people in the BARM are the Muslims and following the religions of Islam, and it's also form part of the cultures. So this is very, I think this is very significant in this bill, the concept of Khalifa, because when the Bangsamoro is invited to support these development goals of the Bangsamoro, it should always anchor on their belief, on the belief and cultures and traditions of the people of the Bangsamoro. So on this part, I would also I think this is the last appeal, the inclusions of the Darul Ifta for the composition of the board of the Bangsamoro Development.
Mr. Mantikayan, ang huli pong nasabi ninyo na narinig namin ay yung tungkol sa pagpasok po ng Darul Ifta sa board. And then nawala na po yung internet connection namin. So, do you have anything else after that part? Sorry, sir. Papaulit lang namin after nung inclusion of the Darul Ifta.
Ay, sige po, Mr. Chair. Akala ko nakuha po lahat. But anyway, sige po, ulitin ko na lang po. One is the giving highlight, hindi lang siya inclusion, although na-touched in some of the powers and functions of this board, is the aside from environment, we should also focus on economic and social considerations.
Mr. Mantikayan,
Yes.
let me cut you there.
Yes,
Nakuha
sir.
na po naman namin yon. Ang pinakahuli niyo pong nasabi na narinig namin, so narinig po namin yon, yung economic, social, yung inclusion of MPOS, inclusion of DAB, and then yung concept of Khalifa, and then ang pinakahuli po yung Darul Ifta. After ng Darul Ifta, ay MSSD, yes.
Opo. Nakuha po lahat, Madam Chair. Thank you so much.
So wala na po. After Darul Ifta, wala na kayong naidagdag.
Exactly po. Maraming salamat.
Okay, thank you. And for your presentation and for attending po sa meeting. So can we now go to balikan uli natin yung mga akadim. Nandito na po ba ang MSU Sulu? Wala pa din. And then yung MSU Maguindanao. Ma'am, walang NDU. Si Chancellor Limbona uli. Chancellor, you have the floor po.
Assalamualaikum po sa lahat. Wait. Just a few suggestions. First, the sustainable development policies should be, I think, be embedded on all the offices, the ministries, and even, in fact, on the utilization of the TDIF of the members of the parliament. And of course, on the part of MSU Maguindanao, we do have sustainable community programs. Even our engagements with MAFAR, with other ministries, they are all anchored or on sustainable community development. On the composition of the board, I think it would be better if the composition would remain as not that too many as much as possible, because you have also there the BWC, the BYC, wherein their commissioners are spread all throughout the different areas in the region. But I would like to suggest if you could include from the private sector and from the academia, from the academe. When speaking of sustainability, what we want is programs, because we are protecting the environment, the protection, the conservation and protection of environment and natural resources. So we would like to have experts whose research and whose outputs in the academe can be tapped and be engaged and be part of crafting policies that are for the sustainable community development. That's it for me. Assalamualaikum to the honorable body and to the Chairman Jajuri. Thank you once again for inviting MSU Maguindanao and the other MSUs as well. I know a lot of MSUs can contribute and be part of the programs henceforth established by the Bangsamoro government. Magandang umaga pong muli.
Thank you, Chancellor, and thank you for gracing our consultation and giving your input. We take note of the proposal, and it's more specifically yung pong inclusion of the academe and the private sector to the board, no? The composition of the board. If you so wish, ma'am, if you have additional points or if you want to expound on the points that you raised, you can also send a written proposal, deadline natin.
Wow. Sige, we'll do that po, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Can we go to Adat Betad, Sir Nasruddin Kusain? the executive director of said organization. Sir?
Isang mapagpala at makakalikasang araw po sa ating lahat. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Ma'am, may respect po sa lahat po ng ating mga mabubuting members po ng ating BTA. Number one po, we are looking for more comprehensive po na Bangsamoro Sustainable Development that is concentrating on the Bangsamoro perspective per se. Then, po doon sa presentation po ng bill, for us to attain sustainable development, it should be holistic and inclusive. Gaya po ng sinabi ng ibang resource persons, kailangan po kasama si education sector, si health, and the others. Sa structure po, madam, yun nga po si MBHTE is very important po for us to attain sustainability through education. And considering po yung status po ng ating mga Bangsamoro na kabataan. Then number 2 po, yung NGO and CSO should be included. And lastly po yung ating IP or CSOs concerning IPs or ministry na may concern po sa IP because they are the most vulnerable in development process. Yun lamang po. Assalamualaikum and magandang umaga po.
Waalaikumsalam, sir. Thank you po for giving your input. Specifically, i-review yung framework to be more comprehensive and including Islamic values that are relevant to sustainable development and specific to the proposal to have a more holistic and inclusive structure. Ang proposal is to include MBHTE, CSOs, and IP representatives. Tama po ba, sir?
Yes, madam.
Okay, salamat, Sir Kusain of Adat Betal. Ang nagdilaab po, pwede na po ba nating marinig? Si Ma'am Cecilia Sekio? Wala siya. Nawala na. Okay. Sino pa ang hindi ko natawag? Yes. Can we go to the private sector? We only have one representative at present. We invited some other entities, corporations. Pero for now, we have Lamsan Incorporated and we have Mr. Luce Peña. Sir, Mr. Peña? Pena or Peña? Babae. Ma'am Luce pala, sorry.
Good morning po. Good morning to everyone present for this consultation. Actually, hindi po kami experts po on this case, ma'am, no? However, based on what I heard earlier from the other members, I agree with what Chancellor Utokalan mentioned earlier on reviewing the powers and functions of the board, because they might be in conflict with the existing responsibilities of the different ministries. And with that also, looking at the 17 SDG goals, so same comment with the others who gave their feedback earlier, that it might be better if all ministries have representatives based on the 17 SDG goals. So yun lang po ang comment namin from Lang.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ma'am Luce. Okay, so reviewing the functions of the board vis-a-vis the functions of the ministries, and then expanding the concept to include the social development, sustainable development goals, and in relation to that, to include relevant ministries to the board, considering the expansion of the concept of sustainable development. Ma'am, pwede bang last hindi kami magdedebate about this, pero several times yung concept ng yung proposal to include private sector, okay po ba kayo doon? Kasi hindi niyo po na-mention, but you're the only representative from the private sector. Do you agree that you should be represented in the board?
That there should be a representative. However, I am not sure if top management will allow us to get involved. But we will support whatever program. That one I'm sure. In terms of support of the program, we will support. But for now, I am not sure if they will agree that one of the employees will be a member of the board. But for such consultations such as these, we can send representatives.
Medyo mahina, ma'am, yung audio nyo, pero ang unang point na narinig ko ay may
Company, the Lamsan Group will support, such as yung ganito po na consultation, or kung may programs later on that will need our support, the company will provide support. Hindi lang kami maka-assure na magbibigay ng kung is needed ng representative po sa board na regular. Kasi po mahirap po makaalis sa work from every morning.
Sige. Thank you, ma'am. So what I get is that you support the proposal of having a private sector representative. And then for Lamsan, you will have to consult the leadership, the management of Lamsan, if the representation will come from your company. Thank you po, ma'am. Sige, I called the names of several organizations, pero many of them have not been able to have stable internet connection yata. Is there anyone there on Zoom po na ready na ngayon to speak so that we can hear your comments? Ang mga tinawag ko na po na hindi nakaka-respond, I see Ma'am Cecilia of Nagdilaab, Sir Aldi, si Dr. Han Balbara from MSU Sulu. Anyone among those I mentioned? Wala na? Sige, kung wala na po ba? Sure. Kasi sayang po ang presence nyo. I'm sorry if I don't see all the names. Kung may nagdagdag since earlier. Wala. Yan ang lahat. Ayan. From? Okay. So now we have Mr. Norkan Jamsuri from SR Languyan Mining Corporation. Sir Norkan Jamsuri, pwede po kayong magsalita, mag-comment dun sa BTA Parliament Bill number 53. Sir, can you unmute? Ayan po. Go ahead, sir.
Assalamualaikum, ma'am. Sorry for the late, na-late po ako sa consultation. And so far, wala pa naman po akong mga inquiries regarding sa bill po.
Sir, meron ba kayong comments sa bill? Meron po ba kayong gustong iparating sa Parliament para iayusin, baguhin, idagdag?
Siguro as to regarding on the bill, wait lang po.
Sige, sir. We will give you time, sir.
Yes.
Okay. You can submit a written position paper, comments po on the bill. Ang request lang po namin ay sana matanggap po namin on or before March 21 para maisama po dun sa consolidated na list of comments coming from those we have consulted. So kung hindi po tayo handa today to give our comments, paper na lang po, sir.
Sige. Yes, po.
Okay, thank you po for joining us. Kung nandyan pa, kay Dr. Hanbal Bara and Ma'am Kiyo. Yun po, yung tatlong natawag ko. Kung wala sila, we will just write them another letter to say that, and all those who have been invited but who are not able to join us, i-remind na lang natin sila, and those who also promise to submit their position papers, if we can remind them to submit the same on or before March 21. Kasi mahirapan tayo if these papers come later, hindi na natin makonsider. So, sige po. So ulit, marami pong salamat sa ating mga resource person sa araw na ito. Malaking tulong po sa trabaho ng Parliament na marinig ang perspectives ng iba-ibang mga sektor at mga institusyon. As always, yung mga lumalabas po during consultations will be considered by the appropriate committee. In this case, it's the Committee on Rules. Ang trabaho po ng TWG is just to get all these comments and put them in a report to be submitted kay
members of the Parliament. Sustainable Development Goal is a global issue, and I see that the role of the Sustainable Development Board is very important as far as the Bangsamoro government is concerned, because it will be a mechanism that will ensure that the needs of the present generation will be met without compromising the needs of the future generation. That's all that I want to relay for at this moment, Madam Chair.
Okay, salamat, Ma'am Susan. MP Romeo Sema. We'll call on MP Engineer Aida Silongan.
Yes. Assalamualaikum. Am I heard?
Yes po, okay.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yes. My courtesies to the chairperson of the TWG, MP Attorney Raisa Jadsuri, the co-chair MP Engineer Baintan A. Patuan, members MP Dr. Susana Anayatin and MP Romeo Sema, other MPs who are physically present and virtually present, and the deputy speakers, including their staff, and to all the resource persons from the academe, non-government organizations, religious and civil society groups, development partners, and private sectors. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you for giving your time for this public consultation. Rest assured that all your insights and concerns are very much appreciated and very well noted to achieve a comprehensive and inclusive legislations. In this case, the BTA Bill number 53, otherwise known as the Bangsamoro Sustainable Development Board Act. We will be waiting for your position papers. After all, we have the same aim in passing this bill, which is generally to forward outright to a balanced and healthful ecology, specifically here in the Bangsamoro region. Indeed, sustainable development shall focus on peace and prosperity, education and environment, and the like. Inshallah, we will work to address poverty, at least in the Bangsamoro region, with the guidance of our Almighty Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. This bill is one of our instrument to end poverty, inshallah. Shukran everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam. Sige, meron pong ibang members who wish to speak. MP Jamla, MP Makaraya, and then Deputy. Kung meron pong gusto pang magsalita before the closing remarks from MP Sema. And then we discuss the World Bank internally na lang siguro. So MP Jamla, go ahead po.
Economic Development, Planning and Development Office, Environment and Natural Resources Plans and Programs. This being a global issue, this has been this is a program, rather. I mean, a part of the program of the United Nations, the Sustainable Development Goals. I would just like to see or ask the member of the technical working group on the consideration of these different issues, because if we see
that our government must seriously and effectively act on policy determination on sustainable development and how process of integration and harmonization of plans and programs can be done, and how monitoring activities can be done also in the operationalization of economic and social activities and development in the farm. Upon approval of this proposed bill, as it deals with protection.
Noted, sir. Definitely one of the outputs would be a written report containing the comments coming from our resource persons. There will be another session to cover other sectors in terms of consultation po. So this is the first of maybe two sets ng consultations. Deputy Speaker Adyong.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good morning po sa ating mga invited resource speakers. In advance, happy Ramadan. Malapit ng Ramadan, no? First of all, I'd like to commend the committee and especially the authors for using the phrase because it's a manifestation and it's a sign that we are evolving in terms of our thinking and how we view environment and what's the usage and how can we utilize this environment at the same time as a balancing force. So it's a good thing that we see in the bill the evolution of that thinking. No, it's no longer environmental protection; it's environmental justice. So maganda po yun. I think it's a proper way of putting into context yung ano ba yung use ng ating resources at paano sila maprotektahan. Again, Madam Chair, it's not really a manifestation, but I'd like to throw in some few clarificatory questions. Perhaps the PWG can work out, no, and can the committee. It's not really sabi ko nga para kasi this is a committee public hearing. I'd just like to insert some few observation, Madam Chair, to perhaps to improve. The powers and functions include sa board, no? I presume this is going to be the policy making. Kasi board to silang magse-set up ng plans and essentially to regulate economic activities, business activities using our natural resources in order that we preserve and we conserve them. Dun sa powers and functions, kasama na doon yung investigation, no? Madam Chair, kasama na din doon yung pag-regulate. Can that also be, can along with that regulatory powers, along with that power to investigate, can it also impose sanctions on business entities operating within the BARM? That's one thing that I would like to be enhanced in the powers and functions, because if you have the authority to investigate, then surely you would have, by in effect, the power to sanction. Kasi kailangan po namin ito sa Lanao del Sur. Talaga, sa totoo lang. There's an ongoing issue, ongoing deliberation ng Lanao Development Authority, which has similarly the same function. And this would further, Madam Chair, this would even further our intention to have the regional Lanao Development Corporation, because if you would ask me, Madam Chair, I would rather have the RDA as a regulatory office rather than a GOCC. No? Kasi para hindi ho masyado ma-exploit. Number two, Madam Chair, is kailangan din na namin ito sa Lanao del Sur. Just to put you in the context, no? Massive na po ang illegal cutting down of trees and then yung illegal minings dyan. Lalo dyan sa may coastal areas, may mga emerging industry na po ang sand, black sand. So I think this is a proper way of dealing with that kind of issue later on, no? Pag ma-exploit masyado. So, baka pwede rin ho natin yun, no? Makita, Madam Chair. Yes. So, Madam Chair, so pasensya na po sa ating kuan kasi parang resource speaker, nakita ko lang po.
What I'm saying is your issue could be raised to the floor.
Yes. Ito. So, sorry. So, yun lang po, Madam Chair. And yung sa board, no? Kasi na may sa function din po, Madam Chair, is that tatawagin yung mga local officials, no? Para makuha yung opinions and a suggestion as they hold the meetings regularly. So if they are invited, why not also at least maybe think of giving them the seat, no? Ang mga LGUs. Since we are to invite the LGUs, perhaps we can also perhaps entertain that they may also be given the seat. Kasi gusto nating i-connect ang regional government sa local government. So yun lang po, Madam Chair, and thank you very much. Pwede po ako maging co-author nito, Madam Chair. Gusto ko para maka-introduce din. Yes, thank you very much po, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker Adyong. I think many of these issues will be discussed further, particularly sa level po ng Committee on Rules. And then, of course, in plenary. What we have done so far is just to listen to all the comments and positions for further discussion sa level po ng Committee on Rules. Pero may humabol po tayong resource person, and we want to make use of the presence of Maradika, as well as mukhang okay na ang connection ng Nagdilaab Foundation. So, unahin ko po ang Nagdilaab, Ma'am Cecilia Sequio. Ma'am, do you hear us? You have the floor po. Parang wala pa din. Can I call on Maradeka Ibrahim Salik or any representative from Maradeka? Salik Ibrahim. Sorry. Wala rin. We see their names in the participants. Si Salik from Maradeka. Naririnig niyo po kami. You have the floor. Wala pa rin. But he's here. Okay. Sige, since wala, and last call for Nagdilaab Foundation. Wala pa din, no? Sige, we'll just contact them to say that they can just submit their position paper. So any other MP on Zoom na may gusto pong sabihin? Check kung merong nag-raise ng hand. Wala. Sige, so wala na. I think it's time to close the public consultation by way of closing message coming from MP Romeo Sema, and thereafter the TWG will discuss the offer of the World Bank to have a technical briefing. So now we call on MP Sema to give the closing remarks.
Yes, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh, and good morning. First, I'd like to thanks the chair of the TWG, MP Attorney Raisa Zuridi, Deputy Majority. First, to the distinguished members of the MP, are here, the members of the TWG, and also in the virtual. So, in behalf of the TWG, I would like to express our thanks and gratitude to the resource speaker of this first consultations of the TWG for the proposed BTA Bill number 53, or the Bangsamoro Sustainable Development Board Act of 2020 or 2022 maybe. So we're very happy for the suggestions and recommendations of the resource speakers. However, those suggestions and recommendations will properly studied by the TWG for the incorporations or portions in the proposed bill, inshallah. So, but this bill is a very vital body for the economic growth of the Bangsamoro, because development is very important for the Bangsamoro government or Bangsamoro regions. So, dapat meron tayong proper plan, strategies, approach to how to formulate a proper agenda for the economic growth of the Bangsamoro. So we are hoping that this body can be approved to fast track for the approval of the parliament. So my suggestion before to the body is, I think, of course, to come up our time frame for the deliberations and eventually the approval of this body. So we're hoping before concurrent with the statement of the majority while ago. Kung kaya natin sana before the mandatory or before June 30. So matapos natin ito and approve po natin itong proposed bill na to because of the exigency of this bill, Madam Chair. So thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam. And with the closing remarks, we adjourn this public consultation. We just request the TWG to stay for discussion of the next steps, on the next steps. Okay, so this public consultation is adjourned. Thank you po sa lahat ng resource persons.